You don't wear a uniform. You don't operate from a base. The 7 countries you've worked in this year don't appear on any of your official travel documents. You have no rank insignia, no headquarters, no public budget, and yet you are part of the most consequential military force in the Middle East. The IRGC Quds Force has active operations running right now in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, Gaza, and beyond. Its personnel travel as businessmen, as diplomats, as civilians. Nobody knows their faces, nobody can prove they exist. In 2019, the United States did something it had never done before in its entire history. It designated a foreign nation's standing military as a terrorist organization, not a militia, not a rebel group, a military. The IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, became the first state military ever to receive that label. And the unit at the center of that designation was Quds Force. This is what it feels like to be inside it. Level by level. From the first room with no windows to the last one. You are 23 years old. You sit in a room with no windows. The walls are bare concrete. The chair is metal. Across from you is a senior IRGC officer you've known since you were 17. He was at your mosque. He watched you grow up. He already knows everything about you, your family, your grades, your prayer record, your loyalty. He doesn't ask about your military performance scores. He asks, "Who would you die for?" You answer. He writes something down. He asks what the Islamic Revolution means not for Iran, but for the world. He asks whether you have relatives abroad, whether any of them live in Europe or America. Every answer is measured, not against the skills rubric, against an ideology. The IRGC was founded in 1979 not as a conventional military, but as a parallel force loyal specifically to the supreme leader, not to the Iranian state, not to any elected government. To the leader. Quds Force is the apex of that structure. You don't apply to join it, you are chosen. The invitation comes when they've already decided. He closes the folder. He tells you to report back Thursday. You pass, and you have no idea yet what you've just agreed to become. Training doesn't start with weapons. It starts before sunrise with a book. Every morning before food, before physical exercise, before anything you study. The text in front of you is Ayatollah Khomeini's Islamic government. You read about Velayat-e-Faqih, the doctrine that gives the supreme leader guardianship over the Islamic world, not just Iran. You discuss why the 1979 revolution wasn't a national event. It was a global one, a cosmic shift. The opening move in a much longer game. Your instructor doesn't call what you'll do military service. He calls it divine obligation. He explains that America and Israel are not simply political rivals. They are systemic threats to the project, the revolution, that must be exported, protected, and expanded. The language of politics is replaced with the language of mission. You are not being trained to follow orders. You are being trained to believe so completely, so totally, that the orders and the belief become indistinguishable. By the end of this phase, something has shifted. You don't think of yourself as a soldier anymore. You think of yourself as a defender of something that was true long before you were born and will continue long after you're gone. The most dangerous soldier on earth isn't the one following orders. It's the one who believes the orders are God's will. They hand you a passport. It is not Iranian. The name on it is not yours. You spend the next weeks memorizing a childhood you never had, a city you've never visited, a university degree in a subject you never studied, a dead uncle named Karim who left you his watch. Trainers quiz you at 2 a.m. half asleep, disoriented, asking rapid questions about the cover identity. Where did you go to school? What was your first job? What does your apartment in Ankara look like? The cover must hold under pressure, under fatigue, under interrogation. Because the day will come when a hostile intelligence service, European, Israeli, American, will ask you those same questions in a room where the wrong answer means you never come home. Quds Force training covers everything a major intelligence agency teaches its operatives. Counter-surveillance, encrypted communications, weapons handling that leaves no military traceability, proxy force coordination, cover construction. The training facilities are outside Tehran, reported near the Imam Ali base complex, and they are not on any public map. You practice your cover until it becomes reflex. Until the real name, your actual name, the one your mother gave you, sounds strange and unfamiliar when someone says it out loud. You've practiced the false life so many times that sometimes, for just a second, you forget which name is real. Your first deployment is not a battlefield. It's a meeting room in Beirut. You sit across from commanders of a militia that officially has no connection to Iran. You are officially a cultural attach. The business card in your jacket pocket says so. The men across from you know exactly what you are, and you know exactly what they are, and none of that is ever said out loud. Your job is not to fight. It's to advise, to supply, to direct without leaving fingerprints. Resources move through channels that would take a forensic accountant years to trace. Money flows through shell companies, through religious foundations, through businessmen who owe favors. Weapons arrive in crates labeled agricultural equipment. Hezbollah, Lebanon's most powerful armed group, has been a Quds Force proxy since 1982. Kataib Hezbollah in Iraq. The Badr Organization. A network of armed actors across the region, trained, funded, and directed by a unit that doesn't officially exist. Analysts who study the region call it the most sophisticated non-state military architecture in modern history. You are one of the people who maintains it. You are not a soldier here. You are a puppeteer. And the strings are completely invisible. You control more fighters than some standing armies, and not one of them is officially connected to you. You are in a European capital. You don't remember which cafe this is. They all look the same after a while. You are carrying a phone registered to a company in Lithuania that doesn't take calls. You've been sitting here for 4 hours, watching a man read a newspaper at a table near the window. He is an academic. A dissident. Someone who writes papers that criticize the Islamic Republic and gives interviews to foreign media. Your handlers have designated him a threat to the revolution. You photograph him 3 times, you note his routine, you write a report. In 2011, U.S. federal prosecutors indicted a Quds Force operative in connection with an alleged plot to assassinate the Saudi ambassador in Washington, D.C. A plan that, if executed, would have detonated a bomb in a Georgetown restaurant. European intelligence services have documented IRGC surveillance operations in France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. These are not battlefield actions. They are precision projections of power, covert, attributionless, deniable. Compartmentalization is the system. You are always only one piece of something larger. You never see the full picture. You file your report. It goes up a chain you cannot see, and a decision is made somewhere above your access level. You order another coffee. You file the report, close the laptop, and somewhere with your intelligence, a decision is being made. You will never know what it is. Syria is different. You understood that the moment you crossed the border. This is not Beirut meeting rooms. This is not European cafes. This is a war, and wars don't care about your cover identity or your false passport or your shell company phone. Starting in 2012, Quds Force committed massively to preserving the Assad regime. The scale was unlike anything attempted before. You coordinate between Lebanese Hezbollah fighters, Iraqi Shia militias, and the Faymiyoun brigades of Afghan fighters recruited from refugee communities in Iran, many of them desperate for money, residency, or promises of religious honor. 4 different armed groups. 3 languages. Commanders who distrust each other and distrust you and distrust the entire situation. Your job is to keep them pointed in the same direction. When the coordination holds, ground is taken. When it doesn't, when the communication breaks down, when rival commanders refuse to move, when supply lines collapse, people die in ways that didn't have to happen. Preventable deaths. Operational failures dressed up as acceptable losses. You write a report about it. At peak involvement, Iranian coordinated forces in Syria numbered in the tens of thousands. The Syrian conflict killed more than 500,000 people. You were part of the machinery running inside that number. You've stopped counting. You learned early that counting makes it personal. And personal makes you useless. You haven't spoken to your mother in 3 years. It isn't that you can't call her. It's that every conversation requires you to lie about everything: where you are, what you do, why you can't come home. At some point the lying became more exhausting than the silence, so you went silent. You have a cover name you've used for so long that your real name sounds wrong when someone says it. It sounds like it belongs to someone else. A person who existed before this. You're not sure that person is still there. You pray. Not because the certainty is still there, it isn't. Not all of it, but because the ritual is the last thing that still belongs to you. It's the one practice that hasn't been assigned, weaponized, or turned into an operational tool. Researchers who study defectors from the IRGC describe a phenomenon they call total institutional capture, the point at which an operative's personal identity, has been so thoroughly replaced by the organizational identity that there is no longer a meaningful separation between the two. Former members who left and came to the West have described the psychological impossibility of knowing who they were underneath the mission. You are the most effective version of yourself they have ever trained. You are not sure there is anything left underneath that. You are in a room with generals, diplomats, and clerics. You are the only person in the room who has actually been to all the places marked on the map on the table. They ask your assessment. 3 countries. Millions of lives. A decision that will not appear in any official record and will be denied by every government involved if it ever surfaces. You give your assessment. Measured. Professional. You have learned to deliver information with no emotional content. It is more useful that way. They thank you. A decision is made. You stand. You walk out of the room and down a corridor in a building that doesn't officially exist, serving a unit that isn't on any organizational chart, executing a mission that your government will deny entirely if this conversation ever becomes public. Quds Force reports directly to the Supreme Leader, not to the Iranian military, not to the president, not to any elected body. After the death of its most prominent commander in January 2020, a new commander was appointed within days. The machine didn't pause. The machine doesn't pause. It is not built around people. It is built around a system. And the system continues. You have become exactly what they built you to be. The question, the one you've never asked out loud, the one you don't have the clearance to even form into a full thought anymore, is whether you still know what you built yourself to be. You are everywhere and nowhere. You are the most powerful ghost in the world's most dangerous shadow war. And some nights alone, in whatever room you happen to be sleeping in whatever country you're not supposed to be in, you wonder if ghosts can still be saved. You began this in a room with no windows, a senior officer across from you. A folder on the table, a question hanging in the air. Who would you die for? You ended in a room with no windows, different generals, different maps. A different question, one that costs more to answer. Who would you sacrifice? The answer hasn't changed, only the cost has. Somewhere right now, a 23-year-old is sitting in a metal chair in a concrete room. An officer he's known since his mosque youth group sits across from him. The officer doesn't ask about his military scores. He asks what the revolution means for the world. The machine doesn't stop. The ghost doesn't rest. And the shadow. The shadow is everywhere.